Welcome back to the Science of Scent. I'm Papa Scent. Today I want to talk to you about just going on your own fragrance journey. How do we even start to do this? For me, I was living in Europe and I had a friend come to visit me, and after he left, I guess he noticed that people in Europe smelled better than people in the United States. And he got into the online world. He found the Fragcom and started getting into scents. And since I've known him since I was in high school, we were talking about watches, and somehow fragrances came up, and that really struck with me. I noticed it too. Europeans have a different sensibility when it comes to fashion and style and living in general, quite often, honestly. And so I, being slightly competitive with this guy, he's my best friend, and I thought I'd jump in the game too. And I was hanging out with some friends. She's Dutch and he's from the UK, and all living in Switzerland. So an American, a Dutch woman, and a Brit go to a fragrance store. That sounds like the start of a joke, right? Walked into one of the local fragrance stores, just, designers and a few niche, with a focus on, obviously the Swiss are very proud of their products. So being in Switzerland, they had some Swiss products, but I just started testing the samples that were, the testers that were on the shelves, and going, gosh, what's that? And oh man, that's really odd. And then I came across this. This is Bulgari Man in Black. Now, I didn't know it at the time. I hadn't done enough research. I just barely scratched the surface. I picked up this and Versace Eros Flame. And I smelled other Bulgaris. I smelled YSLs. I smelled Terre d'Hermes. There was a bunch of stuff. This was early 2022. And this spoke to me. This said, this is a great scent. It's peppery, it's powdery, it's a little boozy. I didn't even know what the notes were, but this was intriguing to me. And I've been wearing it ever since. And come to find out, it's a Fragcom favorite as far as designers go. And what an amazing house. I've got several. If you see behind me, I've got the Terre de whatever. What is it? Terre Essence, I should say. And this is my newest pickup from Bulgari, Terre Essence. And it's fantastic. It's unique. I'll talk about that another time. But it's a great house. So how did I get started? I went to the store with some friends, and we picked up a couple of scents, and then I was kind of like the fun, smelly guy for a couple of days. And then I found in Zurich a place, and maybe I'll throw a picture up here, me in front of Oswald's in Zurich on the Bahnhofstrasse, where all of the fancy stores are at. And I walked in there, typical American guy, a little bit overweight, my German's no good, I'm wearing a black hoodie and a backpack, riding my bike around, and I walk into this very nice, very opulent fragrance store. And assistant manager came over, and I just said, look, I don't know anything about anything. I've looked at a couple of reviews online, and my buddy said I should come here. And 4 hours later, I left there a wiser and poorer man as far as money is concerned, but very rich in fragrance. I left with 4 fragrances. And one of them I have here somewhere. Black Afghano by Nasomatto. I had heard that this was it's divisive, you like it or you don't like it, and I was intrigued. Sure, it's got a cannabis note. With a name like Afghano, you kind of expect that. That's such a unique piece of art. Very expensive little bottle, very powerful. You don't need a whole lot of this. And I was enamored with the complexity of it. So it was one of the ones I picked up that day. But I was also in a position where I was later in life, doing okay financially, so I could walk into a very expensive store and drop a fair amount of money on some fragrances. I kind of have this rant of when I introduce people to fragrances and they're like, oh, this reminds me of my dad, or this reminds me of grandpa. And at first I thought they were saying it smells like an old person. When I realized what they're really saying is it smells like someone who has some money because they can afford a really nice fragrance. So that's what they're saying. Which is why when someone smells Axe body spray, they think of that target market, which is high school or clubbing or something along those lines. So are you need to have excess money in order to get into this, or are there ways for you to enjoy this world of fragrance, this art form, without having to spend a whole bunch of money? Absolutely, yes, there are, and there's some ways that I'm going to share with you that I still use. I am trying to grow a decent sized collection. I do spend a fair amount of money, but I usually don't pay retail. I utilize online discounters, but I also have kind of an ethos that if I go to a retailer and that person there who's working there, they don't own the fragrance company, right? They're not making the profit. They're working an hourly job, and they're probably working on commission. So if they sell you something, that's how they make their money. So if they invest the time in me and I have the ability, I will make an effort to purchase a fragrance. So if I go to Saks Fifth Avenue while I'm in New York with my wife, and that guy spends 45 minutes hoping I'll make a purchase, I find it to be kind of rude to spend all that guy's time and then ask for some samples and walk away without making a purchase. So if I don't plan on making a purchase, I've got in my head I'm not going to make a purchase, and someone tries to work with me, I'll tell them no thank you, I just want to look around on my own, so that I don't feel like I'm stealing from them, essentially. However, operate as you please. That's just my own personal thing. So when I buy retail, it's because somebody spent some time with me. For example, recently I picked up Tom Ford Noir Extreme, the Parfum in the gold bottle. And the reason I bought it was not because it was on sale. I was at a Macy's or a Dillard's or a Nordstrom or something. I was at a retail chain. But the guy behind the desk was very cool to me. Older guy. He was sharing some of his wisdom. Some of the things he showed me were that he likes to layer a lot of fragrances with Tom Ford's Oud Wood as a base. Never heard of that before. Now, he's sharing some of his wisdom with me. I thought that it would be rude of me to not then purchase from him. I was going to buy Noir Extreme Parfum, and I could have saved $50, $60, $80 by doing it online, or I could pay that same amount of money in my mind for that interaction that I had with this guy. Make it worth his time, make it worth my time. His sharing of information was worth my money. So, I feel like we kind of have an obligation when we spend time with someone and they share with us, we owe some sort of reciprocation. So in that note, I'll just make the plug. If you like what I'm sharing with you, like and subscribe. Don't got to send me $80. You can if you want. I don't turn down free money. But if you like this, just hit the subscribe button and hit the bell. Help me grow this channel. I got a lot to say, and I think that a lot of what I have to share can be helpful. So what's another way that you can get into this without having to spend a whole bunch of money, without having to pay retail? I mentioned that there's discounters online. I'm not going to share with you a whole bunch of them. I don't have any codes. You can find the guys that have the codes and whatnot. Utilize them. They're probably making a little bit of scratch on that. That's great. Maybe eventually we'll get there. But save yourself some money, but understand what it is that you're getting into. So how can you do that without blind buying everything? Is Roja Dove Burlington 1819 a blind buy? I would say, yeah, for everybody. Blind buy it. Blind buy the hell out of it. Because one, I don't ever want it to go away. Two, I don't know who wouldn't like this. I'm sure there's some people that don't. But I'm not going to tell you to run out and buy Man in Black. I made a purchase online. Let me tell you this story. I got some samples. So it's another way you can get into it. You can buy little decant samples. People will sell them either privately or companies will sell them. Or you can get the official carded samples. So like here's an Amouage for Enclave that I picked up recently. Very nice scent. I haven't actually opened that yet because I smelled it. But here's an Amouage black interlude black iris that I bought on a blind buy. So I had a interlude sample and I liked it. I thought it was very nice. And then I heard every reviewer online say, ooh, if you like interlude, you'll like interlude black iris. Especially if you like iris. Well, I love iris. Iris is great. It's a very intriguing scent until you wear it. This does not work on me. I get physically ill after like 10 minutes of smelling this on me. And it is strong. It's an Amouage. It will stay forever. So, kind of a love-hate, kind of a blind buy. Didn't pay retail. Still, I mean, you can kind of see there's a little bit of a dent out of it. That's just me trying over the last 18 months to learn to love it. So far, we're not friends. We're acquaintances. So again, I mentioned you can get into carded samples. So here's a Terre de Mes Eau Givre. Okay. Here's a Guerlain. And even though I recently bought a bottle of this, I've got an MFK Grand Soir right here. What's great about these, even when you get the bottles, this is a great way to share. When someone's, like you see online, maybe you're in a group, somebody's like, oh man, Grand Soir, it's on my, got to get my nose on that. And you're like, hey man, I've got a sample I'm not using. And the nice lady made me some spice blend. And no, I don't know what that one is. The label fell off. This one's Tabaccoler. Everyone is raving about this. I'm kind of like, yeah, it's nice. Not dying over it. I'm glad I didn't spend $350 on a bottle of it. Not easy to find at a discounter, but those are the ways that you can get into just trying things without having to spend a whole bunch of money. I actually encourage you to do that. That is a better investment of your time. So there's carded samples, and you can get free samples by asking for them, especially if you're making a purchase. They're more likely to give you a whole bunch of samples if you make a purchase. Discovery sets. Some discovery sets are really expensive, and some are not. This is the House of Etat Libre d'Orange, and they make a $40 set that has 20 samples in it. And from a marketing perspective, I like this because I bought half of this set in at least 50 mils, if not 100 mils, because I got a chance to check all 20 of them in one go, and it cost me $42. Okay, 42 bucks. Fantastic investment. Didn't even cost the cost of a whole bottle. Now, this one was not as cheap. This is Nichonne's large. I think there are also 20 or so. Some of them might be missing. And I've reorganized them. This is not how it will ship to you because I put the ones that I liked in the top rows and the ones I didn't like in kind of the bottom rows. But then again, most of the house, this was 120, and then I got it on some sale, so I got it under 100 bucks. Still cheaper than a whole bottle, and I got to try the majority of the house. Fantastic. Bought a number of bottles based on this discovery set. So you can purchase discovery sets. You can also purchase mini sets. This one I got for Christmas. I've been trying to get some of these, so I'm trying to hold that to my microphone. Rookie. This is All Saints. And All Saints, I've been to a couple of All Saints hunting one of the fragrances that the Fragrance Apprentice had been recommending, Sunset Riot. And there was a sale, and I missed the sale over Christmas. It was like a $50 bottle or something for like 30 bucks or something. But by the time I got to it, this little mini set that has 3 fragrance bottles in it, about 10 mils, 15 mils. For less than a full bottle, I got 3 fragrances, Flora Mortis, Concrete Rain, and the one I was looking for, Sunset Riot. Now, I knew that Sunset Riot had some notes from Baccarat Rouge 540 by MFK, and sure enough it does, but it has its own unique profile, and I'd also found out it lasts forever. And when you have a lot of scents, you don't necessarily want a scent that lasts forever because, hey, tomorrow I want to wear something different, and if I take a shower and my hand still smells like Sunset Riot where I tested it, that's kind of a bummer, right? Like, I gotta go find some rubbing alcohol and try to get that off. It's good. It's just not my style. If you're a Baccarat Rouge 540 type person and everybody smells the same, you probably want to skip this. If you love that profile and you're looking for a different play on it, this is a very cheap alternative. It's not a clone. It's its own thing, but it's definitely the same family. So it's great. So, long story short, for a little bit of money, less than a full bottle price, I got into 3 of their scents, one of which, Concrete Rain, I'd smelled before and I like it. I just didn't have to have it. Great way to get into it. And then just recapping, carded samples, decants. There's lots of decant houses out there. Pick your flavor for $3 to $7 a piece. You can get a couple of mils and get into what some of these, well, unless you're looking for Roja samples, and then they're more like $15 for a couple of mils, or other houses like that. But regardless, for a couple of $100, you can get a bunch of different samples and start to explore what you like about it. I think we've covered a lot in this on how to get into the game. We'll talk a little bit more about some of the other, why you're interested in fragrances and what it is about them that interests you in another video. So for now, this is The Science of Scents. I'm Papa Scent. Like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.